Catherine, recently there's been a lot of news out there, and of course social media, as they always do, takes it by storm. And there's a lot of questions floating around out there on whether or not, as a buyer, do you need a real estate agent to represent you? Otherwise, what we call a buyer's agent. Look, I think that this is probably the most convoluted and cloudy area. I know the answer to that with absoluteness, but as an agent who represents both buyers and sellers, Catherine, I'd like to have a conversation with you about the role of a buyer's agent and what that really means. But as we get started, can you just break it down? What is a buyer's agent and what the heck do you guys do?
Sure. No, it's a great question. The role of a buyer's agent, I'll tell you what it's not. It's not just sending you houses on a list and opening doors. There's so much more that should go on behind the scenes. And it starts with the consultation. Whenever somebody tells me, okay, whether or not they want to buy a home in 60 days or in 2 years, we sit down and we have a consultation to really understand not only the what, but the why. I think the why is really important, because if I understand the why, they might have in their mind that this particular thing is the what. But from what I know of the area or the market, I can then introduce them to new possibilities of other whats that help them meet their why that they maybe would have never thought of. So the consultation first. The
consultation first. Okay, what about when it gets down to, let's just jump right into the negotiation and actually purchasing the home? Yeah. Is the buyer agent an important piece of that?
Oh my gosh, hugely important. And not just in the negotiation, because we know what the nuances are of the current market and what's working and what's not working, and also just from our experience in the past. But the rapport that can be built is huge, and the reputation. The number of times that I have been in a multiple offer situation, and our offer maybe wasn't the highest offer, but our offer was taken. We've beat out with financed. Actually, I think I had one. Yeah, Cammie and Charlie, they had down payment assistance and they were doing a loan, and we beat out a cash offer. So cash is not always king. But what I will tell you is that the reputation that your realtor has, or even, let's say, I've had instances where the agent is an out-of-area agent and they don't know me. They don't know who I am, but I'm able to build that rapport with them. It gives you a huge advantage. And just being able to have that rapport means that the conversations I'm going to have with the listing agent are going to be far more enlightening than if that's not the case.
Okay. So I'm a buyer. I'm driving around in the weekend with my wife in my car, and I see a sign in front of a house. Won't I get the same thing if I just call the number on that sign?
No, you will not. Now, I will tell you, there are instances, I have had instances, I call them unicorn situations, where, I have a seller and the home that they have, it just happens to be a perfect fit for a client we're already working with. But I will tell you, so the listing agent, their fiduciary duty, their responsibility is to their seller. So I have had people call me and say, if I go through you, I want this house. If I go through you, will you cut me a deal? Will I get a better deal? And I very honestly tell them, I am here to take care of my seller. If this is the home for you, I will absolutely inform you and represent you to the best of my ability, but you're not going to get a discount, because my job is to get the best price and terms for my seller. Now, if you as a buyer are the one who is willing to give those best price and terms, then great, it's a win-win situation. But the listing agent, their responsibility is to their seller. So really the ideal situation, unless it's one of those unicorn situations where everybody is on the same page, is to have somebody that is going to go to bat for you.
I love that. Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize that that person with the sign out there could have very well sold them that house in the past, and then might be helping them buy another house after they sell this house. So there's a deep relationship in there. And I just know, as an individual, I always want somebody advocating for number one right here. Yeah. And I think that's important to do that. Okay, so super important from a consultation standpoint, super important from a negotiation standpoint, not going to get the same thing by just calling the number on the sign. So Catherine, clearly we need a buyer's agent. How do we find one?
Oh, okay. Great question. So I would say look at if you're a Google girl like me, I Google everything, and now I chat GPT a lot of things too. But if you are starting with your research, I really want to encourage you to look at the testimonials. Start with asking who your friends and family have used. A majority of the folks that we work with come to us because we have helped a friend or a family member or coworker. So, but really ask those questions and do your research. Look at the testimonials, see what people are saying. I even like to say social media stalk them. Because if they, if you can try to get an idea of who they are as a person, it'll give you a feel of who they are. A lot of the folks that we work with, they've been following us on social media for a long time, and then they feel like they already know us when they meet us. But then once you actually have that initial conversation, I would have that first conversation via phone and feel them out. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Come ready with your questions, like interview them and really just make sure you know what is important to you. I would write down what are the things that are most important to you in the realtor that you work with and be solid with that. Don't flex on that. And if when you're talking with them in that initial conversation, you can see that they aren't going to be that, maybe they aren't going to provide the knowledge or you don't feel like you can trust them or whatever it is, then just very politely, don't feel like you have to commit to them just because they're the first person you talk to.
So what should a buyer expect in the way of communication with their buyer's agent?
Oh my gosh. I will tell you, I sell a lot of homes and I see the lack of communication out there, and
no
it's
doubt.
frustrating for me.
Yep.
So I can't imagine what it feels like for the person that realtor is representing. And I don't mean to speak negatively, and I'm not going to mention any names at all, but I see it every single day. For our clients, we are communicating with them constantly, but in a way that they want to receive it. Okay. So we have our systems in place. We're very system oriented, but every Monday, they know that they're going to get an update of, hey, here's what happened over the weekend. Here's what you can expect during the week. And then as different landmarks happen, we're informing them, we're educating them based on their level of need of knowledge and just guiding them through the process.
Love it.
And they need to be reachable. Realtors need to be reachable. They may not answer their phone in that call because they might be respectful to the client they're with, but they respond back.
So I think there's also this perception that your buyer's agent, because by the way, I was being facetious earlier. I think a lot of people realize the importance of having a fierce advocate that is focused on them and their family. So I was kind of just baiting the question out there to get some dialogue going. But even for those that do realize the importance, I think a lot of them think that like the real journey with their buyer's agent kind of ends once they find them and negotiate their house. Does it really end, or does the buyer's agent support throughout the rest of the transaction, and in what way?
Well, what if by chance the appraisal doesn't come in at value? Who's going to go to bat for you on that? Who's going to walk you through what to do?
Renegotiating or
renegotiating, or just trying to find that so it doesn't fall out and so that you can continue. So renegotiating essentially and finding that solution. Or when you get your home inspection done, someone who's going to properly guide you on what would be a fair request for repair if relevant, and then really just guiding you through that process and going to bat for you with that too, to get you the best terms for you as a buyer.
Very cool. A wise man, a mentor of mine once told me, Dave, and it was in the importance of making sure that I was really a community fixture and I was getting out there and meeting people and really, networking well, because he said, sometimes it's not always what you know, it's who you know. So how important is finding an agent that's well plugged into their community? Is that a benefit potentially to a buyer?
It absolutely is. I already touched on the fact that it can help in regards to when you write an offer and when you are in the negotiations. But also, in regards to, I've said it before, if you need something, we got a guy. If you're walking through a home and this bright pink bedroom, or man, it just feels so dark in here because the paint's so dark, and I have no idea how much that would cost or who I would talk to, or anything like that. When you have a realtor who's well connected, they are going to have the resources for you, whether or not it's to do with improvements on your home, or if you want to get necessarily or if you want to add solar to your home, or oh my gosh, I am self-employed and I am now wanting to get incorporated, who to talk to. I've got somebody for that. Literally, I have clients that reach out to me and they've been in their home for 1-2 years and they say, hey, we're thinking of doing this. First of all, should we do this or this? And who should we talk to? And little things like that just help you get connected into the community, as well as just, okay, if you are church going, what are the great churches that they should explore? What should they know about schools? What is there to do for the kids and families? All of those things add value.
Okay, so critically important on the front end from the consultation standpoint and the real understanding of what they want. Super important in understanding the characteristics of their community that they're in there. Incredibly important from the negotiation standpoint, the follow-up processes, renegotiations, the deciphering into the condition of the home. So finally, you put keys in a borrower's hands, and then you go away forever.
Oh, heck no.
Of course not.
No, we are with them for life. And actually, our clients become like family.
Yeah.
And really, we see that they join the Materiali family. I mean, and we do so much with our clients. They get little gifts from us quarterly. We do events like Cocoa with Santa and family photo shoots. And we really try to make sure that there are things relevant for our clients, no matter what age and stage they are in. And touching base and saying, hey, it looks like you're building some equity. Where's your interest rate? Do we need to consider doing a refinance? Would that be beneficial to you? Or if they are doing a refinance and they need some help with some comps, we're there as a consultation, someone that they can consult with on any level of anything to do with being a homeowner for forever.
That's huge. So it's really like a customer for life type of relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So last question for you. Earlier on, you talked about kind of one of the biggest travesties out there is the lack of communication that some agents have with their buyers and like expectations. So what are some tips that you can give to a buyer who wants to forge a strong relationship with their buyer's agent? Like what can they do, on their shoulders to ensure that happens?
Absolutely. I want to say in that regard that when they do feel safe with their realtor partner, that they should also be transparent. And, if they only have this much money to work with, be like, hey, I only have this much money to work with. Or if they have more, to not feel like, so often people will feel like, okay, if I let my realtor know how much money I really have, they're going to want me to spend every penny. No, maybe if they're slime ball, yes. But if your realtor is really on your side, they need all the information that you have to share. If there's anything that you are anxious about or that you're afraid might be a downfall, or anything that is just really important to you, sharing all of that and just being an open book and being authentic is essential, because you have such an important partnership there. And also not being afraid to ask questions, not being afraid to push back. I always tell my clients, I put my big girl pants on every day. If there is anything that we're doing that is serving you and not in a way that you feel comfortable, I want to know so that I can grow.
Right.
And so being willing to really partner with your realtor and have that back and forth is essential for just that wonderful relationship that you can build over years.
I love it. I've bought a lot of homes, Kath, and I'll tell you, the social media reels that I'm seeing right now don't change the fact that I wouldn't dare go out there without that kind of fierce advocate. And as far as those tips, they're super critical, right? I would use the same valuation model that I would use in deciding whether or not to be somebody's friend, right? Just really feeling aligned with that person. So thank you for sharing all of that. And I think those are just, it's an incredible breakdown of what you do out there for the buyers that you serve.
And we love it.